Welcome to a brand new TV show spoiler review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinnenberg. Today I am breaking down the brand new episode of the HBO show Euphoria. This week's episode is episode 4 of season 3. So welcome back into Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinnenberg. Welcome in. Before we start with this video, please hit that like button. Really helps support the channel and helps more people check out my videos. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. Hit that thumbs up button down below. Also, this is a full spoiler review. So if you've not seen episode 4 of season 3 of Euphoria, which debuted on Sunday night, go back, watch it. It's around an hour long, and then come back here and get my spoiler thoughts. So again, I am someone who adores the first 2 seasons, and I was very mixed on the first episode of this series. I thought the second episode was pretty good, and I thought the third episode was also pretty good. I liked episodes 2 and 3, mixed on the first episode of this season. But I was coming off of the wedding episode, which was my favorite episode of the season so far. I was fascinated in the direction of the series, like interested in all the different dynamics. Sadly, guys, I hate to be a negative Nancy here today, but I did not like this episode. This to me was easily my least favorite episode of the series so far. And there were definitely some elements I liked in this episode, but the direction that we were going in that I was interested in is not going so well, let's just say. So Rue takes up the majority of the screen time in this episode. She has that, and I think one of the best parts of this episode is Rue and the fact that she's a mole and she's trying to keep herself together while trying to help some people out. She's kind of dangling all these other things. So she gets this interrogation scene with the cops where she's lying to the federal cops and they're like lying to the cops is a federal crime. I like when she's like, I can, you can lie to me, but I can't lie to you. That seems messed up. But at the end of the day, she turns the fact that she also had drugs. She could either serve, decades and decades in prison or can be a mole and a rat for the cops. So that's what she does. And it's pretty intense when she's trying to hide that she's being a rat. There's a scene where there's a poker scene with Alamo and Marshawn Lynch's character and Bishop and her. And it's getting pretty intense because really, she's nervous, she's sweating. Bishop's trying to play the poker the whole time, but Rue is trying to basically ask what the next hit is and if she can be a part of it. Obviously, trying to understand so the cops know where to go. But Alamo doesn't give in. And truthfully, it seems like Alamo does care about Rue. I think he doesn't, obviously, he cares about himself more than anyone involved. But you can kind of tell that he definitely cares about Rue and wants to make sure she's in this situation doing fine because he's very vocal. He's like, you can't just tell me that you asked that for no reason. Then he's like, you're sweating too. And then he came to the realization that she could be back on drugs. And she said she made a slip up. And he said, you really cannot do that again. Like yell at her. You cannot do that again. So we'll see. It's going to be pretty crazy if he eventually finds out that Rue is a mole. We catch up back in Hollywood in this episode with Lexi, working with Sharon Stone's character's project, and they need someone to paint something for a background for a particular scene. So she calls Jules, who obviously is a painter. Jules was doing nothing. Jules comes in and makes this absolute graphic painting with a lot of genitals being shown, both male and female. And Lexi was like, think about a picnic and grass and leaves and all of those things. And she drew that. And again, Jules, never reliable. A lot of these characters make insanely stupid decisions in this episode. And these were some of the smartest characters in the first 2 seasons of the show. And they continue to make just stupid, stupid decisions in these episodes. Like Lexi thinking that Jules, one, could come through here, and Jules not thinking that this would be a bad decision to make this painting. Like it was so obvious what Lexi was like wanted to see happen, and then Jules did the complete opposite and was shocked that she got criticism. I was like, really, Jules? Like this is what you're gonna come up with for the painting? And then later, they find out, and she's telling her to repaint. Jules puts all this red paint on the painting and then leaves, and I was like, all right, so what's going to happen here? We never cut back to this subplot for the rest of the episode. And that's my problem. Not every character is getting the same amount or equal amount of screen time. Obviously, Rue is the lead character here, but it feels like every other episode, there's one character getting a short end of the change as pertains to their focus on the episode. Lexi has not really had a lot to do in this season. Jules wasn't even in the first episode, and then here in episode four, she's like barely in it, and it feels like a plot line that's just beginning, and then we never get to it the remainder 40 minutes or so of the episode. Just really frustrating. Lexi has that scene of Sharon Stone where Sharon Stone's character is like, you know how much it cost us? $56,000 and $180,000 to do that to hold this lot for next week. So obviously there's some dissension there, but Lexi obviously takes her job very seriously. But we also catch up with Cassie and Nate, and Cassie leaves Nate very early on here in this episode when he's like, "We can fix this," and she keeps like, "The fairy tale is finally over. I'm going to work." So she at first was living with Maddie, which is right where Lexi lives, but then Kaz moves into her own apartment, pawns off the wedding ring from Nate. Um, and she now lives across the street. We get a pretty funny scene where you have Maddie, Cassie, Rue, and Lexi all in the same spot. Rue is asking Maddie to help for some drugs. Maddie, rightfully so, says, "I'm not comfortable giving you any drugs." And Lexi said, "I thought you said you didn't relapse." And she said, "It's for my boss." But obviously, again, I wouldn't trust her either. As a close friend, I would never want to give her drugs, even if it's for other people. Just would never do that. But then Lexi makes that proclamation like, what is everyone's life doing? Like, you're asking for drugs, you're a pimp, you're, using your body for money, all of these things. So I thought Lexi and the delivery was quite excellent in that episode, and so in that scene in particular. But and before we finish up with Maddie and Cassie, Nate has his big proclamation at the town hall where he's trying to obviously get some money so he can pay off this guy, and it doesn't go so well. He's like begging, like he goes on his hands and knees and begs the judges to allow it to pass. Nate's character is completely fallen apart. This is not a good character. It feels like a complete 180 from what he was in the first two seasons, and it just doesn't feel like Nate Jacobs anymore. Nate, even though he was the biggest piece of garbage in the first couple seasons of Euphoria, he still was an insanely smart character. He made very smart, calculated decisions throughout those first two seasons of Euphoria. It was very rare when he would get quote unquote embarrassed. It took like him being embarrassed at the play for him to be embarrassed, or getting beat up by Fez in the opening of season two. That's like it. He was very smart and methodical in the way he went about things. But this season has made him look like a total doofus, where you don't buy him as this guy as leader of men running this company. You don't buy how he gets to this point of begging. I'm not a fan that they already are breaking up Nate and Cassie in this episode, and Cassie's already gone, and Nate's just doing his own thing. And I just don't like it. It's like it's not good. It's not for me. Jacob Elordi is still giving a good performance. It's not Elordi. The writing for that character has been brutal this season. Really, outside of the one scene with him and Jules, and maybe I think the scene with his dad in episode two. Other than that, it feels like a totally different character for the wrong reasons. And it's extremely annoying to me because he is my most fascinating character of the first two seasons, and that has just not worked out this season. We catch up with Cassie and Maddie as well. As I said later, they go to this party, and Maddie's trying to make sure Cassie's like, "You got it. This guy has 20 million followers. Get your name out there. Show that you might want to have sex, but don't do it. Like, protect yourself at all costs as well." Cassie runs into Maddie's old client as well. And right before they're taking this cocaine, you think it's gonna be like an OD situation, but Cassie kind of reacts to it okay. But right before they're about to looks like have sex, Maddie and everyone else comes in, and Cassie gets her name out there, and they're on their way back from that party, and Cassie, is getting all these new followers now. And Maddie says, "Now you have your attention. Now, what are you gonna do with it?" So clearly, Maddie, Cassie. Now, I don't understand now with Cassie breaking up with Nate why Maddie is going to be doing this consistently, right? Yes, this is her old best friend. She's I think the biggest wild card in the remainder of the season. Cassie and now Nate are separated at this point. What is the end goal for Maddie in this relationship with Cassie moving forward? It will be interesting. Alexa Demi is still so good in this show, as is Zendaya, as is Sydney Sweeney, who I think have been the three best performances on the series so far. This season is what I'm talking about. But yeah, we went back and forth between Cassie and the girl and influencer, and then the stripper Kitty at the strip club. Was happening with her? And Rue tried to protect her, but then Rosalia's character got wind of it, and they have this whole confrontation. And this leads to the Laurie's people robbing this strip club where Rue is at because they do not kill Rue and the other girl. And you're like, why would they not do that? They escape away. Bishop wants to know if they have any plates or if you can see anyone, and they see the lips of Faye. And the whole time I was thinking, all right, this is an interesting twist. Rue might not knows who this is, but I was like, it probably isn't just Laurie's group. It would be so obvious that it was just Faye's lips. And this show now is feeling very rinse and repeat, which is every week the show starts. Lori or Alamo's group do something to the other person. At the end of the episode, they get their get back. It's the same thing every week. And I think it would have been more interesting of a twist if it was somebody else. But the fact that the whole twist was, oh my God, it's Faye. Like, obviously, those two masked people were for Lori. It was so obvious, but the show acted like it was this mind-blowing twist towards the end of the episode that that's who it was. I was like, I get it. So, yeah, I wish I was more positive. This is easily my least favorite episode of the season so far. Again, the acting is still good. It still looks very good. Some of that cowboy stuff was not in this episode, which I enjoyed. But these plot lines are making not a lot of sense anymore. A lot of these characters are making insanely stupid decisions, and now it feels like we're in rinse and repeat every week of the same major plot line. So I, again, trust Levinson, trust this cast that things can turn around, but this is my first downer on this season of Euphoria. What are you guys' thoughts on the episode? Let me know down in the comments. Like this video. Subscribe, guys. We're so close to 500. Subscribe to my channel would really mean a lot to me. Like this video, comment, and I'll see you guys in another video very soon.